first off, great to have you on. Congratulations on putting this book together. And actually, you know what? Let's go right into the book first. Best part, juiciest part of the book is...
Juiciest part, the Giants, I'm sure you guys have talked about this in offseason, to finish second over and over for like Harper, Ohtani, Judge. That I think is my favorite chapter, was diving into some of that, diving into what happened with Correa, how they tried to get Judge and differentiate themselves with Ohtani. And, the Phillies are in town right now, and Bryce is really the one that got away here. Right? They finished second. They were $20 million short, and they felt really strongly about that in 2019. So I think that was my favorite chapter. Just, it's more recent, and it was fun to do the reporting on that one.
Obviously, we want people to read the book and dive into all of that. But my follow-up there, was it a money thing? Like, if the Giants were the leaders by 20 million, do you think they actually could have brought in Bryce Harper?
I think usually if someone's the leader by 20, yeah. And I ultimately think this is a money thing. But one thing I have in the book is I talked to Bryce about it, and he said, look, I talked to Bruce Bochy, and he said he was retiring, and that was a big deal. And he called Brandon Crawford the night before he made his decision, and he asked, do you know who's going to be the next manager? And the Giants really had no idea what was going to happen 7 months, 8 months from then. So there was some uncertainty. I think that certainly didn't help. But in the end, they were about 20 million short anyway.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That they keep coming up short for all these stars, including Arson Judge, who they thought they had for sure, and then he changed his name to Aaron Judge and didn't show up. So, hey, whatever works for the Giants. But the question I have in this book is, who has a bigger chapter, my Giants career or Eric Kratz's Giants career? Which one of us has a bigger chapter in this book?
I have to do the Control F and see if I found either one. I will say I thought of Eric last night because I was thinking of crazy walk-offs, and I think he had one in like the 18th inning when he was a Giants catcher. So you could tell me if that was correct. I remember it was really, really late at night that you had a walk-off, and there was like 3 people at your locker who were left over.
Yeah, nobody needed to interview me. It was just a standard 18th inning walk-off, and they were like, why is Buster Posey not playing by?
Yeah. That was memorable.
Yes.
Makes sense. But my problem is if I'm not in the book, you can't tell a history of it because the Giants did retire my jersey number. So you can't have a book if I'm not in it about the Giants.
AJ, you come up a lot with Giants fans. You still are. They still think about you quite a bit.
Oh man, as they should.
Hey, Alex, I want to get to a chapter that might not be in your book, but maybe can be part of a sequel situation. The Rafael Devers saga. So I want to work from where we are now, and then we can go backwards to how crazy the trade was and how Buster Posey's early tenure has been with San Francisco. What's the word? I'm sure that's dominating the radio airwaves out right now in San Francisco about Will Clark trying to work with him, and he didn't want to go out there when the Red Sox were in town and be showing off to them how he's down for taking ground balls at first base, and the Giants apologized to Will. What else can you tell us about that little back and forth reality show we had?
Yeah, I think it was a juicier story in Boston yesterday. I'm sure there was some talk radio stuff here, but most Giants fans I saw and most people at the ballpark were just kind of annoyed by it because Giants fans are extremely, extremely happy to have Devers here. They don't care about what happened over there. And I'll go back to that chapter. Look, they finished second over and over and over again. And he's not Judge, he's not Ohtani, but he's a star. And he's a guy who's going to be here for a long time now. And he has a huge contract. So Giants fans are just like overwhelmingly positive about this. And I think the main takeaway yesterday and talking to some people, and he did talk to the media yesterday. Bob Melvin was asked about it, is he's dealing with a groin injury that he had when he came here. And the last few days, there's been some back tightness. So he just hasn't done a lot of work, period. He's doing early BP and he's taking some grounders over there, but they don't feel like he's going to be ready at least for another week plus 2 weeks to potentially be out there. He's been out there every single day as the DH since they got him. And if you watch him run, he looks like someone who probably needs 10 days off. But they're appreciative of that, and I think they don't really care much about the other stuff because they got him to be their DH, and they'll figure it out at first base as they go.
Is he the star? Is he the star, though, that they were looking for because they have finished second all the time? I get it. Rafi Devers, is an elite superstar, but do the Giants need a star that's more outgoing, or do they need a second star to be able to turn this thing back into what it was in 10, 12, and 14?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not the guy who's going to be doing all the media, who's going to be doing the post-game show all the time. We haven't, frankly, talked to him a whole lot. I mean, he did a lot the first week, but since then, he's not that guy. But I think Willie Adames is going to be that guy. Matt Chapman's going to be that guy. And one thing out here is, like, Logan is extremely popular. Logan is the face of the franchise now. He's never changed. He does all the media. He does all the appearances. He signs all the autographs. He's the all-star. He's the Cy Young candidate. I think he'll take care of some of that. It is a good point. At some point, they're waiting for the next Buster Posey, the next Brandon Crawford, and they're hopeful that Bryce Eldridge, who is their top prospect, can be that guy. I don't think Rafi will ever be that guy. They just need someone in the middle of this lineup, and someone who, look, people don't come here in free agency. They don't want to hit here. I'll go back to Bryce. I mean, he says he likes the ballpark and he loves the fan base, but he's never hit at Oracle Park. So if he looks at his numbers, it's not a place he probably wanted to spend the rest of his career. But the fact that they were able to get Devers and not have to convince him to come play at Oracle, he just has to come do it for potentially 8 years. That's really important to them. And it allows them to not have to worry about the free agency route. And hopefully they develop a Bryce Eldridge or somebody else down the line who can be the next homegrown star, because those are the guys who have always resonated here.
Kratz, we talk about HelloFresh a lot, but in the same fam is another option for you if you're looking to go on your little wellness journey or you're very picky in terms of what you're looking for ingredients-wise. You can go Green Chef this summer.
And I can heat and eat, because this summer I've got like 3 days where I'm not doing anything, and I'm sure those are going to get scheduled with something. Let's give me something super quick that I can heat up. The whole family's eating healthy and they're full.
Menus change weekly, 80-plus dietitian-approved weekly meal options. Green Chef makes it easy to find those meals to fit your lifestyle, so go check it out. FT fam, there is an exclusive offer. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50territory at greenchef.com/50territory.
Alex, is this Buster Posey's new way to do things? They've tried free agency. Now they just said, you know what? We're not messing around free agency. We're just going to go trade for Devers. And is this going to be his legacy? Because he's from the Brian Sabian mold of, hey, we have a chance to win. We're going all in every time we have that opportunity. Is that going to be the way? Because before with Farhan and Gabe, oh, well, we got a platoon and we got to make sure every piece fits perfectly. It seems like to me, Buster Posey's like, all right, this guy's a pretty good player. This guy's good. He can help us. Let's all bring him together and we'll figure that out later.
Yeah, I think Buster's, there are executives who are probably thinking 6-7 years down the line. He's not. He's not worried about what this contract's going to look like at the end, what Adames' contract is going to look like. I mean, the quote that always gets brought up here is when he got introduced in October, he said, we're in the memory-making business. And I think he had gotten tired of watching. Look, they had 40,000 last night. They've sold out almost as many games as they did. Like, you have to go back like 6 or 7 years to find this many sellouts. And we're in July. It's been a long time since they've had this kind of buzz in the Bay Area, and nights like last night, which continue to build this. And I think he's just trying to bring that back. And we'll see where this all goes long-term, and we'll see how long he wants to do this and what their roster looks like. I have some long-term concerns about the fit with some of these guys as they get older, but right now he wants to win and he wants to kind of bring the excitement back. And that meant going out and getting Adames when nobody expected them to really spend that much in the offseason. That meant convincing ownership, which he is part of, to go and get Devers. And I don't know how much powder they have left for the deadline, but I think they will try to help this team because they feel really good about a potential playoff run if they can put Webb and Ray at the top and with that bullpen in a short playoff series. So he's going all in, I think, and there's no more kind of waiting around. They gave up a couple really good prospects in that Devers trade, and they think really highly of Kyle Harrison and gave up their first-round pick last year. But, yeah, this is Buster being competitive and saying, why not? Like, I think he probably hasn't given up on the division at this point even, but why not just go get a wild card spot and see what you can do in October?
Oh, that is so refreshing. That is so refreshing in San Francisco, too, because the fans come out. Like you said, 40,000 a night, 40,000 a day in the day games too. Like, it's refreshing. I think San Francisco needs to be a team that is there and competitive year in and year out. And I love that Buster's doing that. But you have to tell us what they need, because to me, their areas of need, you talked about Robbie Ray, Logan Webb, and that strong bullpen. Their areas of need may not be able to be sufficed in one move or even in like two little moves. So where will they most likely target?
Yeah, I think if they can, just generally pitching, they've had the bullpen's been the best in baseball. They've had a good starting staff for most of the year, but it's been rough for Verlander. We'll see what he does today, but it just hasn't kind of been what anyone expected. And he's really searching the last few weeks to find some fixes. Hayden Birdsong's really, really talented, but it goes off the rails at times with him. And there's some inconsistency there. Landon Roop's done a really nice job, but he's a young guy. He's on pace to pass his innings total last year by like 90. So I think generally if they could get some pitching, and Kyle Harrison was the next line of defense and he's gone. And the bullpen, as good as it has been, like there are some guys who you just worry about a little bit. So if they could get a starter and maybe move a guy to the bullpen, or if they could get a reliever and have a little bit more depth there, I think that would be the way they should go in the next few weeks. It sounds strange because the pitching's carried them and they have 3 All-Stars and could have more who are consideration. But I think right now that's probably where they're going to be a little short in the second half.